This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, good afternoon. We are making presentation on backup and disaster recovery. If you have any question, please post your questions. We'll try to answer your question as soon as we can within this webinar. In case you like to email your questions to us, or you have any questions regarding pricing or any other things, please send it to sales@stonefly.com. We'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. So I'm going to start by going over the product lines. We have a storage product line that you see here. These are the storage product line, and this is the directory of our all products within the storage. The value systems, basically, it's a more affordable storage product, which provides NAS product, and then in the rack mount, you would probably get the iSCSI as well as object storage. Then you have a SAN product, which consists of single node, scale-out node, HA nodes, and so on and so forth, and of course the scale-out nodes. Then it goes into a hyperconverged appliance, which is basically, it has the virtualization engine in it, so you can actually host your guest OS, virtual machines on it, as well as the storage stack, which provides you, all the storage like SAN storage, NAS storage, and object storage within the hyperconverged appliance. Then we will have a cloud products, which basically, allows you to do backup and replication to cloud, provide the storage in the cloud, and same scenario as far as it provides you SAN, NAS, and iSCSI, and connects to object storage of AWS, S3s, and and blobs in Azure, and provides you with the SAN storage, block mode storage, file mode storage, and object mode storage in the cloud, and provide you all the data services that you need: snapshot, replication, dedupe, encryption, tiering, and everything that you're used to on your on-prem. Now, today we're going to focus on the backup and disaster recovery systems. Backup, as I said, the VSO version is mostly the target storage for backup. So if you already have, backup servers and, the backup software and everything else, you need only the storage part of it, which is optimized and tested for that particular, backup software or backup servers that you're using. This is ideal, more affordable, ideal storage. It provides you iSCSI, provides you NAS, provides you object storage capability for cloud, and so on and so forth. And the next one is a backup, is a gateway. So if you have a storage, but you need everything else, same backup and replication and disaster recovery, but you already have some sort of a storage from before, then you would use just a gateway to accomplish that. And also, these are the rest of it are backup appliances, which are used for backup and disaster recovery. Disaster recovery for backup is just the backing up files. Directory is virtual machines, physical machines, and everything else. So backing up, and so in order to get back to your business of whatever you're doing, we call it business continuity. Basically, continue your business, you have to restore that backup. And disaster recovery for us is more or less, one more step higher in the sense, is that ability to spin up the virtual machines. Now, either the restoring your backup to this machine and then spin it up on this machine and continuing with your business and running your workload on this appliance, then we call it disaster recovery appliance. That's our terminology that you're going to use on the product line we have. So These appliances not only can do backup, but also disaster recovery. And so it provides you the storage, which provides you the resources for CPU, memory, and virtualization, and then for you to be able to spin up the virtual machines. Okay, so let's start with this. This product today we're going to talk about is the R365, which is this product right here. This product right here is the third product, and the R365 disaster recovery will go into the details of that, and so you can see what it can do. Is a hyperconverged backup and disaster recovery. She will explain what that means. It's the capability of actually running any kind of machines and backing up anything that you have, being the Hyper-V or VMware or Citrix or Zen or KVM. It can back up all this stuff. At the same time, it has embedded Hyper-V, VMware, and Citrix, so then you can spin up the virtual machine, because any environment you're backing up, you have to have similar environment to spin up. Otherwise, you have to restore in that environment. So what that means, if you have physical, you have more flexibility, because then you can convert it to any virtual environment, VMware, Hyper-V, or Zen, and spin up the virtual machine. But if you are already Veeam, when we back up, like let's say Veeam host in your virtual environment, then it would be important that you have the appliance that has embedded the iSCSI or iSCSI Plus or Enterprise, or a version of that you're using on-prem, hopefully similar version, that you can easily spin up the virtual machine. Also, this appliance has the storage stack already in there, and it can, expand to multiple petabytes, and so on and so forth. Starts with a few terabytes and moves on to the big, more, capacity. It has a different type of, 3 different type of architectures, from a single node to HA node to the scale-out nodes. So we go into more details of all this, what we just talked about. So let's start with as I said, this is a hyperconverged appliance, means that it has integration with the virtualization engine. So virtualization is part of the appliance. Right, so what we back up pretty much everything. We back up operating systems, so if you look at here, that's what we back up. We back up operating system, we back up all the databases, we back up the software, anything on the physical or virtual machines. We back up all the settings, so you don't have to worry about any permissions or settings or this and that. Nothing. We back up file and folder. So pretty much everything is on that system. We back up, and we can, kind of 100% mirror that particular thing, once we back up. So everything is back up. You don't have to worry about anything. So then also we do what's called application specific. Application specific means we're more granular toward the SQLs, Active Directories, or SharePoint or Exchange. What granularity means that if you go to SQL, we can fetch one record, or we can restore one record out of it. So we can look for things. We can search within that application and just get the pieces of that application, part of that application, or whatever the data in that application restored. So Active Directory, same thing. SharePoint, we can go pick up a document that you lost. So we don't have to restore the whole SharePoint, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, because that's a lot of work. And so if we lost, we need to restore. We just say, okay, we had file XYZ that we are looking for, within these dates, and then it pops up all those, all those. So we are Let me just erase this a little bit so it cleans up. Okay, so now, so as we said, the backup, all the operating system information, being the OS, being the databases, anything you have on that server. So what do we support as far as backup, right? So, and these are the physical or virtual versions of our products. So physical versions, you know, we cover Windows servers, Windows Server Essential, Linux, Windows PCs, you know, workstations, Macs. So we cover all this stuff. So you got Windows, you got Linuxes, you got workstation, you got Macs, you know, everything is covered. Now, on the virtual version, we cover, of course, VMware, Microsoft, Hyper-V, Citrix, Xen, Red Hat, KVM, and Oracle VM. So these are what we cover in a virtual. So it's pretty much everything in a virtual. Of course, application, we just talked about, you know, application specific, Oracle Database, Exchange, SQL, SharePoint, Active Directory. So these are some of the application we are more granular. And in the cloud, Office 365, Azure, the public cloud, the StoneFly cloud, private cloud. So anything in the cloud, that has to do with, virtual machines that is running in the cloud, we can back up those machines for you. We can back up, a private cloud that you might have. We can entertain that. So there's a bunch of stuff we can do. So you have to contact us for detail, and if you have anything beside what we just explained, so we can actually see how we can include that. On the mobile side, the endpoint side, the same thing, iPhone, iPad, Android, and endpoints that you have Mac and Surface, notepads and PCs. Those are, again, we cover. So it's pretty much everything that you can think of these days that you're running, we can cover. Now, as far as the backup software, yeah, of course, it's an enterprise backup software, full backup, incremental backup, the differential backup, and it has anti-malware and ransomware protection built into it. It's agentless, so you don't have to worry about installing agents on any kind of virtual machines or environment. As we talked about, it's a fully, so the incremental and differential backups are here. We have a change block tracking system, means that any changes happens on the system, we only back up the changes, not the full. And so that, it allows us to do everything faster, much more efficient. And it, as I said, it has ransomware protection for you. We actively monitor for anything coming to the unit. That's one of the features of the backup software itself. And of course, we have other things built into the appliance, which helps you for ransomware and malwares and other problems that happens. And those we will explain a little bit as far as the hardware and software that added to the backup software itself. So we have multiple level of protection for ransomwares and malwares and tampering with your backups. Central management, so it manages centrally, and then enhanced protection for data transportability means that if you have any kind of USBs or other transportable device or SAS, then you can connect and disconnect as you do. So it could be portable for offsite or second copies or third copies, or whatever copies outside that you might want to take, or you might want to move your backup. It has integration of blockchain, so if you need that, that's a business continuity. It's the chain of custody for you. So if you have that compliance issues, we can enable that feature for you. And multiple backup destinations. You might have on-prem on multiple places. You might have remote. You might have cloud or multiple clouds. So we can accommodate that. You can be in a private or public cloud, and then database snapshots is built into our systems, and we have two levels of snapshot. But one in the software and another one in the hardware. So we have both level of this. It depends how sophisticated you want to run this system. And it does have included synchronous, asynchronous replications for you, and encryptions already in there. And we have multiple level of encryption again, multiple level of async and replication to the cloud or other things. So we'll explain that a little bit more. And of course, granularity we talked about, if you have any kind of application specific that we can granularly recover. Now, let me go into the hardware level, then we are more bring you some more details. And now, what happens is that we have different type of appliances. We have a single node appliance, we have a HA node appliance, and we have scale-up. So let's talk about a single node appliance. And so this way, we actually be able to explain a few things for you. So let me just bring it back here. Okay, so this is all from the website. So if you need to refer that to the website, you can actually see what we are talking about. So the single node version, this is the architecture for the single node. So how it starts is basically, it starts from, the hard drives. So this tier of hard drives we use SAS hard drives. We use 12 gig SAS hard drive, enterprise hard drives. These are enterprise hard drives that allows you to have the fastest speed within the hard drive generations. These are latest and greatest 12 gig. They're 4-lane connected to a RAID controller, so a hardware RAID controller. And this can be expanded, of course, in this comes in different type of chassis, the 12 bay, it starts from the 8 bay, 12 bay, even we have a 6 bay version of these products, you can ask us so to take a look at 6 bay. So really most popular is 12 bay, and then it goes into 16 bay, 24 bay, 36 bay, 45 bay, 60 bay, 90 bay, and 108 bay. And that's what come in different capability. And then you can add, of course, what we call expansion chassis or expansion to this. And then you can just go on with expansion. So these are very expandable systems. And alongside of it, you also can, put SSD drives, SSD flash drives. These are again SAS drives, SAS drives, and then that provides you with different capacity, 480, 960, 1.8 and 3.67, and then it goes to 7 terabyte drives. So there are different capacity in the SSD family, and they're used for three different usage we have for this. Is a direct storage, so it could be mapped as a direct storage, or it could be mapped as cache, or it may be mapped as a tier. So we'll talk about these 3 different level of usage for this particular flash SSD. We also have embedded NVMe tier on this appliance. So there is another layer of storage within appliance, which are the standard, comes with all our appliances pretty much. That NVMe based system, it's our fast storage, which we use for all the embedded operating system, embedded we actually put the backup software, the virtualization software, the storage software, everything that you see on this appliance, it's already it has been put on the NVMe. So NVMe is very fast storage tier for the device. So embedded in NVMe tier of storage already in the appliance. So we have NVMe, then the next one to it would be SSD flash. That is optional, you can add. The storage tier, which is SAS, 12 gig SAS drives, which are hard drives. That's another tier. And the fourth tier is actually cloud. So we'll talk about it, that you can actually map a cloud and would be viewed as a local hard drives or local storage, not hard drive, but local storage, right? So a storage tier. And you can use it, so it has capacity, whatever you get in the cloud, and you can map it, and it becomes a local storage. So you have three tiers. You have NVMe, you have, so NVMe already in there. We'll talk about it, you know, a little bit more as we go. And then so that's the one tier. The second tier is SSD, third is hard drive, fourth tier is a cloud. So we have these different tiers of storage is in the appliance. So continuing on, then after the storage tiers, we go to the RAID controller. These are hardware RAID controller. Hardware RAID controller. So there's two levels of redundancy in this system that you can use. One's called erasure coding. So it's a very high-end software-based erasure coding, which comes with the system, which is embedded in our NVMe system. And it's very fast. And that is for if you have a multiple chassis, usually used for multiple chassis. So if you get the second chassis, third chassis, and all that, creates redundancy across the chassis. We do erasure coding. For the individual, if you have a single node, use hardware RAID controller. Of course, every node that you might have, even in a scale out, you would have you would have the hardware RAID controller. Hardware RAID controller offloads all the activity that basically iOS has, because the hardware RAID controller manages your hard drives and manages your SSDs as far as redundancy, like the RAID 1, RAID 5, RAID 6, RAID 10, RAID 60, RAID 50s, hot spares, rebuilding the hard drives or failed hard drives or SSDs, reconstructing it, and everything else. So it manages the parities, the redundancy, failover, the hot spare replacements, everything else that you see, and handling all the IOs, all the IO requests, all the caching and everything else within. It handles by this RAID controller. The RAID controller has embedded RAID caching on the RAID controller, anywhere from 16 to 32 gig, and then it does have battery backups in case the system, the power goes off or something. It's not connected to UPS, and even maybe connected to UPS, and the power, the UPS runs out, and then this cache gets flushed, so you don't lose any in-transit I/O. So that way you are safe. So this is a hardware-based RAID controller, and it's very fast. It has its own processor, 64-bit processor running, plus memory cache system, plus it provides you all it's a GUI based, so it's already integrated into the GUI. So you will have an easy way of managing. And then, of course, it does have capability of letting you know notification if anything it's going or already has failed in the system, or it's going to self-fail in the system in the storage area. So it it has that notification system that provides early notification or when in case of failure. Now, the next level to this is a hypervisor. So this particular hypervisor is placed in this appliance. So it is hypervisor of your choice. What that means is that if your environment is VMware, then this is a VMware type of hypervisor. If it's a Hyper-V, it's a Hyper-V, or Zen. If you have a Zen system, then that's Zen. So these are the three hypervisor that we support within these appliances, and you choose and pick what you want, and then version you want, because you might have version of, like, for example, VMware, and that version It might be Essential, Essential Plus, Enterprise, and so on and so forth. You pretty much want to get the same version that your environment has. Why is that? Because then you can manage this appliance as another host in your environment. So for example, if you have VMware, you can use the vCenter, and then the vCenter actually will see this as a host and see all the virtual machines, all your what's on this device, and you can spin it up right from your vCenter. So either you would be able to view everything from the backup or some of the virtual machines or other things that you would be able to see. As far as when it's restored or anything else, you would be running it directly from the vCenter. So it's centrally managed by existing management, virtualized management services that you have. So it provides you that visibility and gives you all the capability that management, like vCenter that you're using, and this viewed as another host within your virtual environment. Okay, so after the hypervisor, we go into another stack that we have is that it's a storage stack. So a storage stack provisions three types of storage for you. It's a SAN system. So SAN system provides you iSCSI storage and provides you fiber channel. Fiber channel is optional if you like to use fiber channel, but usually fiber channel is for, if you are provisioning this storage as for outside virtual machines or virtual physical servers or virtual, because this stack also allows you to provision the storage internally to this and to all the virtual machines inside this appliance, but also allows you to provision the storage to outside this appliance as a target storage, as a SAN storage, as a NAS storage, and the SAN storage would be iSCSI, optional fiber channel, or would be a NAS unit. So this is a full capability as a target, either within this appliance or outside this appliance. So this appliance would be target for other hosts, being a physical host or virtual host. Also, it's it's a target for the iSCSI target or SAN target or NAS within this appliance. Now, how do we use this storage stack? Is that as far as the iSCSI, we use it for block mode storage. And that block mode storage is the most efficient way of taking care of all the databases which a backup software, for example, has, like SQLs and things like that. So that provides you a lot of IO-based accelerations if you use the SAN system. The NAS system is a shared repository, so it's used for many different features that your backup software or other capability that you want to deploy within appliance. And so it's a shared storage, so multiple things can access the same file. For example, if you want to give access to somebody to restore it, that might be easiest way to do it, actually create a shared storage and do that for that person. And also, if you are running any kind of the proxies or other things that is data movers within your backup software, and then it would be done a parallel backup for you and uses the shared storage, which is a NAS. So this appliance has a SAN capability and NAS capability. Also, object storage means that it can connect to your cloud and then bring the cloud, either AWS S3 or any S3. Now, it doesn't have to be S3. That doesn't have AWS, could be any S3. And then bring that as a storage. We have tested this with multiple the providers of S3, so you can ask us for that. At the same time, you will be able to bring that as a storage and use it for a directory storage or replications or anything else. So whatever you write to that storage ends up in the cloud. So it's very easy way of replicating, mirroring, transferring, backing up, whatever you want to call it, archive to the cloud. So these are used for that. And also, It has what's called data services. So data services are a very powerful way of doing things, which is for data protection and data management of this appliance. So these are all added feature to this appliance. And so what is those data services are snapshot, for example. A snapshot is used for protecting this appliance in case of any kind of corruptions, any kind of misbehavior of other things that might be like a ransomware, malwares, tampering, and things like that. So deleting, anything can happen to this appliance, right? Either by external people or some other events. And so we protect against any kind of data loss, and that's one thing we do. So it takes a snapshot, puts it in an immutable type of storage area, and cannot be accessed directly unless you go through the mounting capability and scripting capability and be able to bring it back. So that protects you against any kind of intentional, automated attacks and things like that. So, so the procedure that you have to be able to understand the mounting procedure of that and be able to bring it back. And so usually malwares have to be very specific to run those kind of script and be able to do that. And this appliance does not allow them to run those externally. So another thing is that this particular appliance, to protect itself, it does have a different file system than the backup software file system. So these are the backup. Most of the backup software, even within this appliance, runs on Windows. So Windows file system is NTFS, NTFS, and so mostly, we basically have different file system, and that file system also not only being different means the malwares and things like that cannot run on it or doesn't recognize it, and then and is not designed to run this specific application specific file system. But also this file system is closed, means that it cannot run or execute anything on this particular machine. And this machine actually is integrated to it. It's a separate machine within this appliance. So basically it acts like a separate machine. And so it doesn't have any connections as far as the file system or anything else with your backup. It's a completely different machine, isolated machine running as a storage stack, protecting your data and managing your data and so on and so forth. And the backup, the unit is basically just a function that it's in charge of doing all the backups. Means full backup, incremental backup, differential backups, maintaining all the backups, looking up things, restoring it, all the stuff that enterprise backups do. Now, there are other features within this appliance which can help you to optimize data. It's like dedupe, for example, and encryptions. Encryptions, it's a hardware encryption, so that protects you against anybody that you like to protect the data, not be able to retrieve them and or see them or use them. And you have that encryption is a hardware encryption. The reason we use hardware-assisted encryption because we don't want to slow down anything within this appliance. This appliance is a very high-performance backup system. It comes with a 210 gig connection, so it provides you at least with that 210 gig full bandwidth of 2 gigabyte per second backup, which is translate to multiple terabyte. I think about 6-7 terabyte, more than 7 terabyte of backup per 1 hour. So if you set it up correctly with your network and use aggregations capability on your networks and everything else, be able to create the pipe, you can take advantage of high-speed capability of this unit for backing up. And so encryption, as I said, it's part of this system. AES 256 encryption, which is very strong encryption, and it's a hardware base. Then the second thing is dedupe. So dedupe is very part with the enterprise dedupe. So most of people, if not all the people, retire their dedupe if they have like data domain or things like that that they purchased. Usually that's the first thing they retire, because it's not necessary anymore to run any dedupe appliance. This appliance is fully capable of running dedupe, and with a very high ratio of a dedupe, very high ratio, which is par with the any enterprise dedupe appliances that you separately have purchased or buy or intend to buy. There is no need for any of those with this utilizing this appliance. And so other things beside the the snapshot and encryption dedupe, we have tiering. So the tiering is built for using flash or tier of storage. So tiering is a policy based, and caching is basically we get the most recent stuff and put them in the cache, so it helps the traffic coming in and going out and reading and writing. Basically, for the most recent stuff, we all use cache. So it does have caching in our SAN, and it does have tiering in our NAS unit. And the tiering is a policy based. So you would say the most recent tier, last 30 days, last 20 days, whatever, or the most recent used, that last 20 days, 10 days. So it has a pretty extensive setup as far as policies of what you want to tier. And these are hot tier and cold tier. So your hot tier could be SSDs cache, or could be hard drives, and lower tier could be cloud, or even the hard drive would be lower cloud, cold tier. And so it depends what you have. If you are getting flash SSDs, so that's a good tier, as we call it, hot tier. And then usually 10% of whatever you do, we put as a flash and create the hot tier. And then it goes to a lower tier that could be hard drive or cloud. And any of tier can be hot tier of any other tier. So as I said, like hard drives could be hot tier for cloud, flash can be hot tier for the hard drive, or could be the flash could be hot tier and cloud could be cold tier. So any tier you want with the policy that you have. And our Cloud Connect is, as I said, has these features that you can map the most popular public cloud as a tier of storage in this appliance, and be able to do that. So the data services, as we said, it's going to be snapshot, replication, encryption, dedupe, and replication is another thing, is that asynchronous and synchronous replication. This system has two types of replication, and within those, again, has different features of different way of replication. So, for example, the SAN part has campus mirroring replication, one to many. So if you want to, mirror these appliances to many different locations, they call it campus mirroring. So it actually mirrors just like a campus, having different buildings, and you have the main buildings, and you have this appliance somewhere else, and you can just mirror it to those appliances, and you have multiple copies. Or you might want to have a multiple copies for analytics or this or that or whatever the compliance you might have. So it mirrors that, so it creates campus mirroring, or that's a synchronous mirroring. Asynchronous, again, the same thing. You can do one to many, many to one, many to many. So it provides all those asynchronous replication for you. So these are all the data services already built into this appliance. And so three types of storage: SAN storage, NAS storage, cloud storage, object storage, and data services: snapshot, replication, dedupe, encryption, tiering, caching, Cloud Connect, and thin provisioning, and so on and so forth. So it's a full enterprise multi-protocol appliance. So there is no lack of anything, and it's embedded to this appliance as part of this appliance. And one of the biggest features that when you have this integration is ability to have low latency. So this low latency helps you a lot, because your backup is just almost zero latency to your storage here. Versus if you have a backup server outside and try to back it up, you have to go through a switch, and this adds latency, and then you go to any kind of target storage that you might have. Even currently, most of people might have servers, go to a switch, and from the switch go to a NAS storage or SAN storage or just storage somewhere, and that creates latency. Versus here is almost, you lose that latency, almost reduce it to zero, and then at the very high speed you can have interconnect between these two, which is your backup and that your storage, and get the full enterprise storage within your backup, and integrated hypervisor. So realistically, there's 3 operating systems running on this system. One is your backup software, which is running on this system, and it has its own operating system, mostly Windows. And then you have the second operating system, which is your storage controller. It's a second operating system running on this system. And third operating system is your virtualization operating system. So these are all integrated as a one application, a specific appliance that creates what we call data center in the box. So you would have pretty much a data center in the box. You can back up on this appliance, you can spin up on this appliance. This could be autonomous appliance and become like a data center that can run your workload. So if you design it to the specification that you need, as well as memories and CPUs, which allows you to have those resources for spinning up the virtual machine, this appliance could be fully independent and be able to act as a business continuity for you. This appliance, of course, has other redundancy like active-active failover, power, load sharing power supplies, so redundant hot swappable power supplies. It does have 210 gigs, so you can expand this 10 gigs to there's a 2-port. You can expand it to more than that. It's 4-port, 8 ports. So easily can go from 2 ports to 8 ports if you need to. And then it also can go to 40 gig, and then optional of 100 gig if you need it. So if this appliance you need more performance and go to a 40 gig network or higher than that, let us know. Those options are available to you. So this is we call it single node, and so if we continue with this, you would see the same thing repeats itself here, but it's a multiple nodes, highly available nodes. Let me show you the architecture of the HA node. We call it HA node. This is a physical node that you will see as a HA node. As you see, this is what we call the top head controller, and this is second controller. That's the first controller is right here. This is a second controller, and they have their own power supply, the redundant power supply. Physically, they're separate. The chassis, they have no connection with each other. So if one fails, doesn't affect the other one at all. Power supply, backplane, this, that, whatever it is, it fails on the one controller, doesn't affect the second controller. And these are in the cluster, so active cluster. If one fails, it goes to the second one. And it's a fully contained. It has its own storage controller that we talked about. It has its own hypervisor. It has its own backup module or backup software. So these are again 3, and has an NVMe built into this controller. So the NVMe flash controller plus 3 operating system we talked about, plus the dual active on each controller. So we'll see that in a minute. And they're in cluster active, they fail over. And there's 2 more controller on this, the third chassis, which we call the storage array controller. These are active RAID controller, hardware RAID controller. So we disaggregated basically the resources, the head unit. We disaggregated from a storage. So there we put them in the different chassis and isolate them. Disaggregation helps us to create much more higher availability, mission critical, and very easily scale and expand systems. And as you see, we can expand horizontally or vertically, whichever you want. easily move on. This is for the medium size or larger organization. Yeah, this is the architecture. As you see, this is the all the operating system and hypervisor. This is the three that we talked about. That's a 1U controller on top, or the first controller. This is the second controller. 1U or 2U controller, depends how many ports you want to have on it. So 2U is more flexible because it has more ports capability, expansion capability. And this is the third chassis, which contains two active controllers, RAID controllers here. So and everything is active failover, redundant. So these two controllers are in the cluster, as you see. These two are in the cluster as well. So you got 4 controllers, 2 head controllers, and 2 storage array controllers, all offloaded, and pretty much you can add more storage arrays here, go horizontally without expanding your head controllers, or just add more head controllers if you are adding more backups and you need things to happen faster. So it's very, very easily expand, or you might want to add more head controllers to spin up more virtual machines. Maybe from 2 nodes go to 3 nodes, 4 nodes, 5 nodes, 10 nodes, 100 nodes, whatever you want. So then easily you can accommodate any workload that you like to spin up on these appliances is easily accomplishable. Okay, and so this is the HA controller. It's very nice setup. As I said, on each head controllers you can spin up. It uses for bringing data, backing things up. At the same time, it's ability to provide resources for you to spin up the virtual machine. And this appliance itself, as you see, it does have the SSD, so it has the capability within that. It has the storage. The RAID controllers are active here. This is a third chassis, as we talked about, and these are the first controller, second controller, and these are virtual machines that you might want to spin up on this appliance in case of disaster. So, and it does have the same features as the other one: snapshot, replication, dedupe, encryption, tiering, caching, thin provisioning, replication, synchronous asynchronous replication, campus mirroring, cloud connect, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I am going quickly. As you see, the expandability of this system, either head units or it's the controllers. So it's very simply, you can expand it, and shows you all kinds of different things that you might have. Offsite, secondaries, failover, so lots of different configurations. This is dual node version of it. And again, you can expand the dual mode version of it. This comes in different chassis, 12, 16, 24. So consult with your sales, and then they will pick up the best combination that you would have. You want to have. This is again another, for very, very large organization. We have totally disaggregated storage for very large. So if you look at this particular thing, this is the third type of architectures that we have for a very large organization. And so now what we have is 2 head controllers. This is a start from 2 head controllers, and from storage array. So the RAID controllers are actually have their own chassis now, and this is a JBOD or EBOD, and so the just drives have its own chassis. Now you can expand the EBOD or JBOD. You can expand the RAID controller. You can expand the head controllers, whenever you, whichever you want. So it's very totally disaggregated. So everything has its own piece, and everything can be expanded, as you wish, into terabytes, petabytes, and anything else you want. So any kind of resource. So you can go this way. So we had single node, we had HA node, and then now we have HA node was a total disaggregated. Now this is a totally disaggregated, means everything else is separated, and then that's. Now if you buy the single node, you can add the second node, becomes a scale-out node. So and then you can expand that direction with horizontally as well. So this shows you the expandability that this totally aggregated has. Now, as we said, if you're thinking of getting single node, you can always add more nodes and become scalable node, 1, 2, 3, 5. So usually grade 5. And this is the diagram of scalable. So this was a single node you purchased, and you just add the second node. Usually people add 3 nodes, becomes like a RAID 5. If one node goes down, the other nodes will survive. So and continue on. So if you are going that direction, you can just go that with the 3 node system. You can start with 1 and then add other things. That as you add the node, you can add the capability of a, I guess what we call compute resource, which you can spin up virtual machine. It has the memory and CPU to do that, or just add the storage part. This is a storage node, so you can add it, which you are not really fully, want to use the it provides you a little bit of resource on the memory and CPU to spin up, because everything aggregates as you add nodes. So you first node, second node, third node, it just aggregates and becomes one bigger node, and become bigger as you add more nodes. Well, we covered pretty much a lot of stuff. Last thing is that if you have this appliance, you can also replicate it to like Microsoft Cloud. Microsoft, as you see, this appliance sits in the Microsoft Cloud already, so it's part of the cloud. You can buy these appliances from Microsoft, or you can buy it from StoneFly. These are the prices are here. As you see, if you click on the price, this is storage. Also provides you the backup, so it's a fully backup and replication systems, and in the cloud. So if you go into the Microsoft website, you can actually go into here and choose what you want. The storage stack, because we replicate to the storage stack. You can buy it, or you can bring your own license. So the third one is bring your own license, or you can just get the first two. Either you use the replication for iSCSI or NAS, or both of them. Let's say both. I want to replicate the whole appliance. Then you can choose wherever you want them to be. So this appliance has been deployed in all Microsoft data centers, so they're all available anywhere worldwide. And so you have a lot of choices to pick up anywhere you are. If you have multinationals, you can have multiple locations. You can just back up this appliance or replicate to this appliance worldwide. And we support this appliance, as part of our backup and disaster recovery. Also, you can do for migration if you decide later on you want some of these workload run into migration. So that will make it easy, because already you have a storage stack, which these workloads already in the cloud, and all you need to do is use that to spin up the virtual machines, and you will be in the cloud. So this partnership is there. Also, we have partnership with other backup software. We have Veeam, and then we support people like Appliance or Commvault or Veritas, all the other Zertos and things like that. So we pretty much provide appliances to all these different backup companies and customers. So if you have any questions, please let us know. More than happy to answer those questions that comes up, and we can be any help. So send us an email on sales@stonefly.com. As you know, StoneFly is a pioneer of creating protocols for storage industry for the 20 years. We pioneered iSCSI protocol. So if you go to iSCSI.com, you go to StoneFly, and so we have been in business of providing, tools and storage capability for on-prem, virtualized, and cloud products. And we'll be more than happy to help you in any of those areas. We are all about data and data protection and data mobility. So if you have migration projects or anything else to the cloud, or from A point to B point, from one data center to another center, also we are more than happy to help you out. We have a pretty good professional service as well. So we can install, configure, test, train your staff, and we'll be happy to do that. And we also ability to maintain and monitor your backup and disaster recovery and any other projects that you might have, which is related to data and data optimization, data protection, data mobility, cloud products, and things like that. I'm more than happy to help you. Thank you very much for your time. And as I said, if you have any question, please give us a call or one of your salespeople that you know, or just send us an email on sales@stonefly.com. Thank you. Bye-bye.